Hey guys, this is Ash and you're watching Read-a-Gash. So this is the last day of Booktube-a-thon and this is the last challenge. And I haven't been able to participate in the last two challenges because I was traveling on the 3rd and then on the 4th, well, I was unpacking and I don't have any books here with me, so I couldn't really write a poem with the books. And yeah, so I decided this was a challenge that I could do because I could talk for hours about the books I love. So I'm gonna talk about my favorite book, which is A Court of Mist and Fury. And I know if you're familiar with my channel, you probably know I talk about that book at least once every video. Well, I talk about it a lot. And ACOMAF is my favorite book. For the longest time it was Twilight, because Twilight was the first book that I ever read that impacted me the way it did. Like, that really made me want to read and read and read. And Mortal Instruments was the series that made me pursue other books, that made me realize that I couldn't be contained with just one story. But it is ACOMAF that I keep thinking of when I think the perfect book. And I love that book because of Reason. Because Reese is such an amazing character. And because it's not what you expect it to be. When you start reading ACOTAR, you don't see anything coming you don't see anything that happens in ACOMAF coming. And I'm gonna say this before I go into why I love this book. This is gonna have a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't read the second book at least, you should not watch it unless you want to be spoiled. Anyway, so when I read ACOTAR, I fell in love with Tamlin. And I thought he was amazing. And I knew it was a Beauty and the Beast thing, but I didn't expect it to be so mind twisty. Turns out the Beast was Reason, but it wasn't that he was physically beastly. It was he put on a beastly front. He put on a monstrous attitude towards the world. He made people think he was a monster. He made people think he was a beast. But he was a really nice person. And I love Reason because he doesn't feel like he's entitled to anything. And I get that has a lot to do with his mother and how she raised him. And I respect so much. And I respect the fact that Reese, even though he's a High Lord and the most powerful one at that, he doesn't see himself above other people. Like Tamlin, he literally, in ACOMAF, he literally treats Farah like she's beneath him. But Reason never once does that. And that is the biggest reason. I love Reese. And yes, I am going to say this, in ACOFAS, the novella, I wasn't a big fan of Reese because he stooped down to Tamlin's level. And he wasn't a good person in that. And he wasn't reasoned in that. And ACOMAF, the reason I love that is because it explores different themes. It also focuses on something I don't think a lot of books, especially young adult books, focus on. Abuse against men, which happens. And it's not something our world focuses on. And I was absolutely touched by the fact that Sarah J. Maas actually focused on it. She straight out said Reese was assaulted by Amarantha. And I love books that really get their hands dirty and talk about things that other people don't talk about. And I felt like that book talked about a lot of things. It talks about physical abuse in case of Reason. It talks about emotional abuse in case of Farah. And those things, although darker than what I would consider myself enjoying most of the time, I would say it was that openness about the book that made me fall in love with it, because Sarah J. Maas wrote a book that was not ashamed at all to approach topics which most people don't talk about. And I felt like that was very important, and I love Sarah J. Maas because of that. And I feel like that book is the reason I want to continue reading for the rest of my life. I loved reading before then, and I was obsessed with reading after, but that book was a turning point in the way I approached books. I started approaching books which were a little more serious from that point on. I feel like because of all these topics that this book approaches, I love it so much more because I felt like, okay, when a person is open towards you, you connect with them better. And this book was open towards me, so I connected with it better, and that's why I love this book. And yes, Reason plays a huge part in it, but the reason Reason is such an amazing character is because he himself is so open. He is so kind and so caring, and frankly, he's open-minded, and that's a huge plus for a character, in my opinion. If a character is open-minded, I'm half in love with him already. Anyway, so yeah, I know this was a little bit of a deeper, more like serious kind of a video than I would want to make one. But like, if you want to know more reasons about why I love Recent and Akumaf, you can look through my channel. I have an entire video where I rant about Recent, and I also have a video where I rant about Tamlin, by the way, where I talk about like a point in time where I actually loved Tamlin, why that morphed into hate, and what I feel about him now. So if you want to know more about my opinions on Akumaf, Akutar, and Akuwar, go check that out. Anyway, so that's it, and I'm almost done with all my books for Booktube-a-thon, so I'm super excited. Yeah, bye!